So Liverpool are set to reach an agreement with Arne Slot and Feyenoord. The deal is set to be complete in the upcoming hours, and I'm here to talk to you about whether this man is the man for Liverpool, and I'm going to explain why I think he very much could be the man for the job, and it will be a video dissecting his career so far, what he could bring to Liverpool, if it suits, if it's a smooth transition, and all the other juicy stuff. We'll also touch on Ruben Amorim and even Alonso as well, because all these things matter based on what we could have got in comparison to what we are likely now getting, according to all the most reliable reports in the sport. Right? So we are signing a man of all trades. If this deal goes through, we've just signed the greatest darts player in the world, without doubt. Now, I don't watch darts, but I like the face. It's like, do you know that face that he does when he does it? Know what I mean? Goes under the name Van Gerwen. It's a great performance. It's a great look. It's a great, quite clearly a man of many talents. I'm sceptical as well. I've done a show with Big Steve, and again, there's a lot of similarities between Big Steve and this current manager. It's one of those things. It's like, maybe it's just this guy is doing multiple things at once. And now, even though we're not on the best terms, but Craig from Anfield Agenda, very sceptical. Now, thankfully, because you've got to bear in mind, all three of those dudes that I've just named, hairless people, not a hair on the single body, right? It's just up for debate, same with Van Gerwen. So as far as I'm concerned, the manager that we could be getting, he's not just a manager, mate. He's an all-rounder. He can do what I do. He can go and fight Luke Little in the darts championships and finger him. That's not a good way to put it. When I mean metaphorically finger, not the actual literal finger, because even though he looks about 59, the kid's actually 17, which we need to look into, by the way. Luke Little, this is we don't really need to look into it, but still, the passport has to be questioned, the date of birth has to be wondered, because that is outrageous. You have got more hairs on your chin than I do in any other area of my body. It is outrageous. These youngsters thinking they can just go and grow full beards immediately. Like, who do they think they are? Weirdos. Arne Slot, very impressive manager, very impressive resume. Let me explain why. We can answer all the questions throughout the video. Oh, James, he's from the Netherlands and all this type of stuff. The first point before I speak about Slot is this. Jose Mourinho once managed in Portugal. Now, granted, he managed to win the Champions League, and that was a great achievement. But it was still only the Portuguese league. There was once upon a time where Pep Guardiola has to go and do it at Barcelona B, and he has to go and do it at all these other things before he gets the main Barcelona job. What I'm basically leading to, Jurgen Klopp was at Mainz at one point, what I'm leading to is that there's always going to be the chance for opportunity, but you've got to identify who it is. Arsene Wenger was nothing in France, came to England and became one of the most generational managers of all time. Sir Alex Ferguson came from Scotland. I could name managers all day who came from nothingness and became something. The premise is you've got to identify that talent. So I think Liverpool have been on a mission to identify who that is. So let's just briefly start off with Xabi Alonso. That was more of a choice for the fans. The fans wanted Xabi Alonso, and then the fans moved on to Ruben Amorim because apparently that was someone who Liverpool was looking at. And I do think we was looking at Amorim. I just think when time evolves and time changes, information changes, suitability changes, and I think maybe behind the scenes we've gone, I think there's other suitable candidates to take on this role than Ruben Amorim. Because what we've got to identify is who's the best manager who's going to come in and still get something out of these players, meanwhile being able to do a long-term project. And I'm going to make the argument in this video that Arne Slot is probably the best option of those three. Now, it's very copium to say that, but I've actually came to this conclusion each time as it comes that quite clearly Michael Edwards knows what he's doing more than I do. Therefore, he's getting the right eyes on the right people. That's what's important. Or the people who he's employed. Very important to get the right next big thing. Now, Arne Slot, he was first introduced majorly at, I think it's SC Camborne, who was in the second division joins them immediately, gets them third, nearly gets them promoted, but loses on the playoffs. A very impressive run at Cambo, and then he moves to AZ Alkmaar. Now, AZ Alkmaar, in the COVID season, they were joint top of the league with Ajax. Ajax were ahead on goal difference, but they both had, I think it was 45 points, or it might have been 49 points, and the season got null and voided after 25 games, and who's to know if Arne Slot would have won the league? Probably not, but what an impressive achievement that would have been, and how impressive is it that he was on the same point as Ajax in that same season? It was a very, very good run. Now, he did get sacked from AZ Alkmaar, but it wasn't because of a lack of good performances. It was actually due to the fact Feyenoord came in and made him an offer verbally. Now, because he entertained this without notifying AZ Alkmaar, the club, AZ Alkmaar, sacked him. And then 10 days later, he got appointed by Feyenoord. Now, before we talk about his achievements and his accolades, he is someone who, would you say that's a red flag, the fact that he was willing to speak to another club behind that club's back? Now, we don't know the context, but you could maybe say, oh, there's elements there where he's proven he's not the most trustworthy because he's broken a bond that literally got him sacked. Now, he's at Feyenoord. He won a trophy with them this season. He's had seasons where he came close to winning the league. This season, he is quite comfortably second. But if you speak to everyone in Holland, they all really rate him as a great personality, a great coach, someone who's an advocate for the youth. And bear in mind, even though he might look about 55, he is a manager who's very young. And because he's very young, he's only 45 years young, because of that, you can actually entertain the possibility of a long-term project. Now, this isn't his first rodeo. It's not his first job. He's got plenty of experience. He was a fairly fine player in that league. He's now a fairly fine manager. Bear in mind, he also got Feyenoord to a European final, losing to a Jose Mourinho Roma. It's impressive stuff. It really is impressive stuff what he's done, and I think the reason why the transition could be good for him is because he's not going to have the power immediately and be able to make the calls immediately how he wants. He's going to have to listen to the people above, and I trust the people above to buy him the right players. You come in and be the coach, you come in and be the motivator, you come here and conduct the choir. What we'll do is that we'll get you the right pieces to the right puzzles to get your team playing how you want it to play. And that is the relationship, and that's how the relationship should be for the first couple of seasons. Another good thing is that he's been capable, more than capable, of competing in the Eredivisie with a shoestring budget. So yes, it might be the Eredivisie, fair enough, but what you've also got to take into consideration is that when you do a great thing with a shoestring budget side, you've got to take that into context. Sometimes the quality of the league doesn't matter. You've proven you can run a football club, even if it's not the most resourceful, strongest team in the league. We need that. So already he ticks the boxes that he can do it on limited budgets. Okay, I can see the rival fans now, they're saying, well, you spend 100 million on Nunes, fine. It was 85 million, but fine. What I'm saying to you is that we don't have the money of City, United. We have more money than most teams in the league. Same with Feyenoord, but they don't have as much money as PSV or Ajax. So it's very important we have a manager who can do it on a shoestring budget, because our budget isn't the same as your budget. Our weekly wage budget is nothing like your budget. It's just important that we take this into consideration. So the green flags are good. He's proven at every club that he's been at that he can do it. He's proven it at a lower league level, like Jurgen Klopp at Mainz. He then took AZ Alkmaar to an unexpected, fairly good position in the league. And Alkmaar, I don't think have done anything similar since. And then he goes to Feyenoord. He's won a cup this season. He's took them to a European final. And he's been a constant competitor for the league. So, is it enough to say that he's got more credentials than these managers that everyone wants? Jose Mourinho, Zinedine Zidane? No. But you can't sit there and say Liverpool, when they go and get world-class players or managers, that it just 100% absolutely guaranteed works out. It doesn't happen. What I'm saying to you is that, when we sign big name players like Thiago and stuff, it's failed. When we go for a big name manager, we play the risk of a big personality coming in, he messes up the cohesion of the club, and then we're going to recover from that for a very long time. We need someone who's long term. We need someone who can come in and give an influence, not only right here, right now, but also in 3 to 4 to 5 years. We need time to connect with the manager. And who knows, maybe Arne Slot is just going to come in for a season or two. Maybe he might underperform. But he's came out and he said, I want this job. That's another green flag for me. So you can say the one only red flag so far is he spoke to Feyenoord behind AC Alkmaar's back and got sacked for it. Otherwise, he's been very successful with shoestring budget teams. He's a very motivating player. The captain of our football club already advocates for him. Jurgen Klopp has said he's a great choice. And he's came out and said that I want to join Liverpool. And he's the only manager who's came out and shown that type of urgency. He is literally trying to push the negotiations with these statements that he's making. You've got to respect it. You want someone who wants you. You don't want someone who just looks at you like the job. If they really want you, automatically, good start. Going to be committed to the job. Let's hope that this proves to be what it could be. Could be a gem unfolded. But could it also be like a Ten Hag? Very possibly. I think it's a bit different. I think anyone can go to a Celtic, or most people can go to an Ajax. Maybe not at the moment because they've changed the ownership and the club's being run very poorly. But when Ten Hag was there, that football club was one of the best run clubs in Europe. It was an unbelievable institution that developed the best talent in Europe. At the moment, they're not having that same luxury, right? Therefore, Ten Hag being the only premise, or Louis van Gaal being the only premise, can't be the only premise that you use to say whether or not they're going to be good. There's been managers who have came from Germany and it's been hit and miss. There's been managers who have came from Spain and it's been hit and miss. Yes, some of the worst examples, like Frank de Boer, he was terrible and he came from the Netherlands. But to say that there's never been great Netherlands managers is ludicrous. Johan Cruyff, for goodness sake, arguably greatest manager of all time in a lot of people's eyes. Louis van Gaal, elite manager, just not with Man United. They destroy everyone that they touch. This is very important, you know what I mean, guys? So what I'm simply saying is I think he's a good enough manager, right? I think he's a good enough manager. Let me just check my battery. I've got enough time to still ramble for a bit. Competes in cup competitions, does well in the league, can do it on a shoestring budget. I like the sounds of him. Now, with Amorim would have also been a very good choice. But I think the style of play is a harder transition from Amorim to this current manager, which is why I think Liverpool have dismissed Amorim. It's not Amorim dismissing Liverpool. We've dismissed him. We've said, no, we don't want you. Xabi Alonso, he dismissed us, but we never made any direct or official talks. And quite frankly, as great as that season's been with Bayer Leverkusen, and listen, he is going to be a world-class manager, it's still only 2 seasons into his career. Not even a full 2 seasons. Just got to be careful when someone's that early in the career. I think the most secure option out of the 3 names in this video is Arne Slot. And I like the look of him, man. I like the fact that he wants to join us and all these things. I could go round in circles to why I like him. But of course, there's always going to be concern no matter who you get when you replace Jurgen Klopp. There's always going to be a portion of the fan base that's unhappy with who we decide to get. But I wanted to do this video to try and paint a more clear picture that if we do get Arne Slot, it's not like we're just getting a bum or a complete side man or waste man. He's very highly regarded where he comes from. So he's got good reference. That's a great start when it comes to employing somebody. A great reference. You then consider he's got to a European final. We're European heritage based. Great. He's won a cup this season. Great. He knows how to compete in cup competitions. He takes them seriously. He advocates for youth. He's got great young players like the right back that they've got. Quinton Timber is a player in their team. Really, really good at developing young players. He's being given a good reference by Virgil van Dijk. He's being given a good reference by Jurgen Klopp. And it's Michael Edwards and the people who he's employed who's deciding to bring this guy in. And the credentials match that if he keeps going the way he's going on an upward trajectory. The next step is a big team in Europe. That big team could be us, and he really wants to be with us. We take those all day, baby boy. It doesn't mean he's going to go and win 5 Champions Leagues, but there was once upon a time where no one knew who Jose was, no one knew who Pep was, no one knew who all these people was as in a managerial sense. I'm not saying he'll become those, but he doesn't need to become those. He just needs to be good enough for us, making us a league competing team, being able to get us close and winning the odd league here and there. So we'll see. We won't make any predictions on what he's going to end up achieving, but I like the early signs. And because of all the things I've mentioned, I'll take him, man. I'll take him. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. That's a little breakdown on him as a manager. And even though a lot of people would have liked Ruben Amorim, me included, I do think that this is an easier transition with the way that he plays. I think that Arne Slot has got a great way of playing when he changes to the back five, when out of possession. I think we'll see a lot less goals go in. And I think he always has a good relationship with his players as well, which again, very beneficial when it comes to us. Seems like a likeable dude. Anyway, and by the way, yes, he can speak English. He's from the Netherlands. They can all speak English. Thank you for watching. So ready for the sleep. So ready. Just had a fat chippy with me ma. The fat chippy. And I have most certainly conquered all the chippies, and I am most certainly never going to stop. Peas and chips and gravy, I will scran the fucking lot. Pepperoni pizza, chicken vindaloo. I am most certainly a big fat bastard, and I most certainly love, and I mean fucking adore, my fucking food. Have a good day, everyone.